When you live on a farm, you expect storms. But not the kind that drives a luxury SUV straight through your crops. She'd been warned 3 times. Trespassing. Mocking. Laughing in my face like she owned the dirt under my boots. So this time, I didn't block the road. I armed it. Tires hit the ground, boom. A violent pop, dirt flying, air thick with dust and shock. And right there, in the middle of my land. Karen learned what private property really means. Before we dive in, drop your city or country down in the comments. I want to see how far this message travels. And if you believe that respect is earned, not demanded, hit that like button and subscribe. Because this channel stands for people who defend what's theirs. For stories that prove justice still speaks louder than power. The sun slid up slow over the hills, painting the fields gold. Dew clung to every blade of grass, the smell of wet earth hanging in the air like a promise. I'd dreamed of mornings like this, no alarms, no orders, no noise. Just the wind and the land breathing together. After 20 years of fixing things that only broke again, I wanted something that grew back. So I bought 50 acres outside the city, built my house plank by plank, and promised myself one thing: no drama, no neighbors, no nonsense. Most days kept that promise. My wife Lydia's laughter floated out of the kitchen window while our daughter, Maddie, chased our dog, Scout, between the rows of corn. The porch creaked when I sat down with my coffee. I could see every fence post I'd driven into the ground with my own hands. Each one was a line that said, "This is mine. Respect it." 4 months, life was quiet. Until the engine came. It started like a whisper, an engine in the distance, then louder, closer. A silver SUV roared down my dirt road, slicing through the morning calm like a knife. The sign at the gate, "Private property, keep out," didn't even make her hesitate. The tires chewed up the road, dust exploding into the sky. My crops, freshly watered, took the hit. When the cloud settled, all that was left was a set of deep tire marks cutting across my land. Maybe she was lost, I thought. Maybe she'd turn around. She didn't. The next morning, she came again. Same car. Same speed. Same disrespect. By the 3rd day, I was waiting. I stepped onto the road, waved my hand for her to stop. She slowed, barely, and rolled her window down halfway. Her perfume mixed with the dust. "This is private property," I said. "You can't use this road." She smiled, sunglasses flashing. "Relax. It's just dirt. I'm not hurting anyone." Then she pressed the gas and tore past me, leaving gravel stinging my legs. That's when I knew she wasn't lost. She was entitled. I built a bigger sign, red letters, bold enough to be read from the highway. "Private road, trespassers will be prosecuted." The next morning, she drove right through it like it wasn't even there. When I tried to block the lane with cones, she moved them. When I set up a chain gate, she cut it. Every attempt I made was met with mockery. She'd roll her window down, wave, laugh, and say, "You can't own a road, cowboy." The problem was, other people saw her doing it. She'd posted videos online, little clips of her shortcut. 10 minutes saved. Country life perks. The comments egged her on. Soon I wasn't fighting one person. I was fighting a parade. Trucks, sedans, even delivery vans. My dirt road looked like rush hour. Each tire track across my land felt like someone carving into me personally. I called the sheriff's office. They sympathized but shrugged. "It's your land," they said. "You'll have to handle it civilly." Civilly. Tell that to a woman who thinks the word no is negotiable. It happened one hot afternoon. Maddie was walking Scout along the fence line when the familiar roar echoed again. The SUV came flying around the bend, faster than ever. Scout barked, panicked, the leash slipped. I ran, too late. The car missed him by inches. The dog dove into the ditch. Maddie fell on the gravel, knees scraped, eyes wide with shock. When I reached her, she was trembling. She almost hit him, Dad. She laughed. Lydia pulled Maddie inside, cleaning her cuts while I stood outside staring at the road. My hands were clenched so tight they shook. There's a moment in every man's life when patience turns into something sharper. That night, the moon hung low and cold. I sat alone in the workshop, the sound of crickets outside and my heartbeat pounding inside. My eyes fell on an old green military crate. Inside, rusted tools, a field knife, and a set of tire deflation strips, training gear from years ago. I lifted one. The metal teeth caught the light. I hadn't used them in decades. But as I held them, I remembered every lesson I'd learned about boundaries and consequences. If she wanted to keep crossing the line, I'd make sure she felt it this time. Before dawn, the world was silent. Not even the roosters had started yet. I loaded the crate onto the truck, drove down the path she always used. The headlights cut through fog, glinting off wet leaves. I worked by instinct, old soldier habits I thought I'd left behind. Kneeling, measuring, hiding the spikes beneath a thin layer of dirt. They lay invisible, but ready. The morning light broke over them like a secret. I brushed off my hands, took a deep breath, and walked back. From the barn window, I set up a small camera. Not to brag. To prove the truth. Then I waited. The sound came just before noon. The same rumble. The same arrogance. She came around the corner, phone in hand, laughing to someone on Bluetooth. And then, boom. A loud pop. Another. The SUV jerked, tilted, tires hissing like snakes. It skidded sideways and stopped dead in the middle of my road. For a few seconds, nothing moved. Dust hung thick in the air. Then the door slammed open. "You maniac! What did you do?" she screamed, storming toward me. I stepped out from the porch, calm, coffee mug still in hand. "Told you this was private property. You're insane. I'll sue you." "Good," I said, nodding toward the barn. "I have months of video. Might help your case." She froze, realizing the camera was pointed right at her. Her voice cracked. You can't just. You can't just keep ignoring people either," I said quietly. "Actions have consequences. Even for you." She turned away, phone shaking in her hand, calling someone, her pride leaking out like the air from her tires. Half an hour later, a sheriff's truck pulled up. Deputy Raines, an old friend from my service days, stepped out. He listened, watched the footage, and sighed. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, "you've been warned multiple times. This road isn't public. You were trespassing." "She set a trap," she shouted. Raines crossed his arms. "A legal one. On private property. You're lucky he didn't press charges for endangering his kid." Karen went silent. The wind picked up, carrying her humiliation across the fields. Neighbors gathered near the fence line, whispering. Some even smiled. Everyone had seen her arrogance for weeks. Today, they saw her pay for it. She called a tow truck and waited, avoiding every eye. When the truck pulled away with her SUV, the silence that followed was the sweetest I'd heard in months. The next evening, the world looked new again. The air was clean. No fresh tire marks scarred the dirt. Maddie and I walked down the road with Scout trotting ahead. The sun melted into orange across the sky, the kind of light that forgives everything. "Did you get in trouble, Dad?" she asked softly. I smiled. "No. Sometimes you don't need to fight people, sweetheart. You just have to let truth handle them." She thought for a second. "So, the spikes told the truth?" I chuckled. "In a way, yeah." The road finally spoke for itself. At the end of the path, I planted a new sign. Not angry, not threatening, just honest. "Private property, enter with respect." I stood there for a long moment, watching it catch the wind. For the first time, peace didn't feel like a dream. It felt like justice finally took a breath. You can't grow peace where people keep trampling your boundaries. You can't expect respect from those who never learned it. Sometimes, the only way to teach someone is to let consequences do the talking. Because real justice doesn't yell. It doesn't beg. It simply works.